Die Sprachübertragung beginnt jetzt. Alle Teilnehmer befinden sich im Zuhörermodus.
Welcome everybody to our very first webinar. Yeah, let me, how to start. This is our very first webinar, so please be a bit patient with me. I'm Thomas, working for the Christie company, and I welcome you to our first webinar, which is What's New, What's Up? Yeah, what's up first? I hope everybody is good, healthy, and your people are well also. So yeah, we are all kind of in a special situation. So that's why we're doing these webinars. And yeah, welcome everybody in my home office. I haven't used this home office for several years now, since I'm hired by Christie. Well, not much, so there were a lot of spider webs to clean up and things like that. So, and I don't shift the camera somewhere else because there's a big mess around there. Yeah, I hope you're good and you enjoy our webinars. So that's our attempt to still being available to address you, to support you with training so you can train our software and going better. We want to have daily webinars from today on, and yeah, that's the first attempt, and we're trying that actually. So we'll see how this develops and what experience we gather with that and how we progress. So there may be changes how we do it, or I don't know yet. So that's the first start, and yeah, it was not much time for me to prepare that, so please be a bit patient if not everything is in a professional state yet. Yeah, we want all the Christie team. Sorry, I didn't say that. All the Christie team will join that webinar and post more webinars the upcoming days and weeks. Maybe we don't know how long this will be. We'll figure out. Yeah, first. How to use the webinar thing. We're not very sure about that yet, but let me shortly push that to you. So this should be your user interface. You were all able to log in. Welcome, thank you for logging in. The microphone can only be used by the organizers of this event. This is Werner. Welcome, Werner.
Hello.
And me. So, and Werner will do all this stuff around beside the presenting from my side. So, you all can put questions in that box. And Werner will try to answer them as good as possible. We don't know yet how this develops, so if it's too much, so it's many people in that webinar actually, so if it's too much, we will select some and we will maybe push some questions from Werner to my side back so I can try to answer it directly to all of you. All your questions will be, which Werner answers in that chat box, will be replied to everybody. So everybody will be able to see the question and the answer to that question. Yeah, there's also the possibility to raise a hand. So maybe we have some questions or some, I don't know yet if we have to use that. The possibility to have audio from your side is there, but I think in this case, when we have so many attendees, it makes no sense. Maybe we'll figure out. Yes. So let me check my presentation here. What comes next? Yeah, the webinar will be recorded, and we're still discussing how and where to upload these videos so that they are available for you to see them again, or if we do different themes, maybe it makes sense to watch it again, or other people who haven't time to join the live webinar can use these videos after. Maybe we will public somehow where you can find this. Maybe it will be YouTube, I don't know yet. That's still in discussion. But all these webinars will be recorded and uploaded somewhere. Yeah, what to do today? Today we will go through new features of Pandoras Box version 6.4. Yeah, that's mostly it, and maybe a little bit of the last update to 6.1.3. We'll figure out how long this will take. The 10-bit option, that's directly from the start. The 10-bit playback option is not yet part of version 6.4. This will be in a future update. So that's for now. I have a little PowerPoint which is more my script for you. I will share it anyway. So first point, performance. This is the most important thing about version 6.4 because Pandoras Box now is a real 64-bit application, which makes the application able to use as much memory as we want to, more or less. Yeah. So, but it's incredibly more than before. In the 32-bit version, it was nearly 3 GB of memory, which could be used. This has raised a lot now, which gives us a performance increase, of course. How? We have to figure out. And I will talk with the next point when we talk about codecs and things. We'll go more into that. The hardware limits, though, they still exist. So hard drive things, SSD or hard drive or SSD, I still call it hard drive, sorry. The SSD performance is not changing with that version. Also the CPU power, it's not changed. Things which are changing is we can address more memory and we can have more things. We can process more things at the same time, and we can use more memory, which is the most important point. Yeah. There's a new decoder with Pandoras Box version 6.4. There are new codecs possible to play back directly with Pandoras Box, which is, for example, H.264, HEVC, ProRes, and DNxHD, and some more. All this is still in development, so they are not finally performance tweaked yet. So there is still headroom for to increase the performance for those codecs. And as these codecs are highly compressed and it takes a long time to decode these codecs, it is still a limiting factor, right? So we still recommend DDS or hub codecs for the best performance, right? Also with this new decoder thing, we are now able to address the hardware acceleration from the GPU, which will also give us a performance boost for different things, mainly for DDS and hub, because we can read them very fast, and SSD and CPU are not that much the limiting factor. Yeah, that's about GPU usage and hardware acceleration. Yeah, performance tests unfortunately are not ready yet, but we're working on that and we'll release those hopefully soon. Yes, then we have the big part is the redesign, and therefore I can now switch to the Pandoras box application to show some features. Or, well, let's stop there actually to have maybe some questions answered. Werner, do we have some questions?
There's nothing elementary at the moment.
Yeah,
No.
give it a sec. Maybe someone wants to ask a specific thing for
just notch implementation, but
yeah,
nothing
this
else.
is not with version 6.4.
So I keep on recording.
All right, let's talk about redesign. So first thing you maybe also have seen already is we have new fonts, so everything is a bit more readable. Clear type is recommended at this point to make it all look a bit nicer. New colors and new icons. So that's just a little bit of design. We have a better workflow with the project tree, asset tree, the patch tree, and especially the device tree. These trees now are working more Windows default like. So the issue when I click fast through here, that I double click in accidentally something, this has gone. Oh, why did I do that? This has gone, and yeah, double clicking is opening the layer like before. I'm not doing a double click anymore by fast clicking through those layers anymore, which is kind of good. So double click on the layer is opening the layer. Double clicking on a parameter group will open this parameter group. Double clicking on a parameter will open the curve editor. Yeah. What else? Parameter. Ah, that's a new thing. If we have new things here at this part of the screen. So we now can have a better overview about parameters and their values. So if you double click in that value column is the right word, right? I can directly enter values there, or I can use the fader-like move. When I hold the mouse click and move the mouse up and down, I can use this field to directly interact with the opacity parameter of layer 1 actually. I also can double click in it and type in any number, and as you also can see, this is now turned into red, and the red indication for the active value is also pointed out here, and it follows all the route to the to the main device. So if I put all that small, you still can see there's something active in there in layer 1. And if you open layer 1, you can see it's the opacity parameter actually. Yeah. And there's also more options. For example, the position linking of parameters is also available here. So actually, we need something to show there. So if I use this option here, I can move the y-axis, and if I put them together, I will always move them together. So that's directly addressable in this window, in this tab here. Also possible to mute the rendering. So if I click that button, it will not be rendered anymore, and the same applies for audio. So the audio is now muted for layer 1. Great. Any questions for that? The mute is not part of the store active. This is not an active value. This is an inspector option. Okay. Another. That's a good question from Janina. She's asking if it stops the full rendering or is it just hiding. So I think, I'm not really sure about that, but I think it's really not rendered, so the performance will not be taken there. Yeah, the FX also shows up. I can show that in a loop. I think I deleted that tab, but I can show that shortly. Let's do some blur on that layer. So there is the blur. And you can use the blur directly. Bad example because you cannot see it in that preview. Can you? Maybe not. Blur down something. Maybe do some color effect. Like black and white. There we go. Yeah, thanks for that question. Werner, are you still there, Werner?
I'm still there. Is the mute render option selectable using widget?
Sorry, again?
Is the mute render option selectable using widget?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not aware of that being part of the SDK yet.
Okay.
But I'm not sure about that.
Janina says not yet.
Question, I really like to have that question in the support somewhere, and maybe we can address it there.
And one more, does the mute help with the performance?
That also Janina's question already. I think yes. I'm not too sure actually, but I think it's stopping the whole object to be rendered in the render engine, like that. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next topic. Let me switch to my little script. Where is it? There. Okay, file paths. So with the new version, we're getting rid of the old of the former Kulux naming, and the installation folder files have changed to C program files Christie, and there is then you can find Pandoras box as well as the Widget Designer application. The Widget Designer is using that a few months more now, maybe a few years. Yeah, Pandoras box application now also you can find installation in the program files Christie folder. Log files can be found in C program data Christie. So that has changed too. So if someone of you is looking for log files, this is the folder you have to look for. Then the content folder. This also changed to C Christie content. So all our defaults are now redirecting to that folder. So it's still the same workflow. Our write system is linked to that folder. So it's not the C drive you're using there on our own hardware, but the write system is linked to the C Christie content folder. So if you put media files on the content drive or in the content folder, it will not go on your C drive. Also, if you can address the folder via C Christie content, it's not the same drive there. The big question is the compatibility to older systems or to earlier versions, which still use the C Kulux content folder. We tested a lot with that. Everything works together. So if you install the version 6.4 on a system which already has an earlier version installed, so it has a C Kulux content folder, it will still use that folder, also with the new installation, to not mess around with any contents you already have there. A complete new and fresh system will use the C Christie content folder as default, and if you put two of those machines together, so one using the Kulux, one using the Christie folder, and a manager which is using something, the system can still work together, right? So the compatibility is given for all these setups. And that's more or less everything about this point. Any questions for that?
Nothing for the file paths at the moment.
All right, then we move on. So next topic, it's Watchfolder to playlist link. So we actually have, let me switch back to the Pandoras box application. We now have the possibility, let me get rid of that, to link playlists to a watch folder. So I prepared that a little bit. Haven't used it so much myself, so I had to try out if how it works and everything. It works very well so far. Let me, should I share my whole screen for that? It's a bit large maybe. So what you can do is actually create, I will try it again by maybe removing that one. And the playlist, I leave the playlist, maybe I just clean it up. So there's the playlist, actually is nothing in there. So just to make sure it's working, I put something, oh, that's not nice. Sorry. Let's use the color bars. So color bars are in there, and now I create a folder, a new folder, which is my watch folder. And I link that, so let me clean that folder. So I'm actually cleaning a folder in my Windows file browser to use it again. And now I can link that folder. Can you see that pop-up window now? Yes, you can. So I go for that folder. What's new folder? And I add this folder to be a watched folder, right? And what I also do, this is the new option now, I connect it to this playlist. So that's the project's name, and the playlist, maybe I can give it a different name there. Watched playlist, for example. So, and I now can connect the watch folder to this specific playlist. So now I drop via the Windows File Explorer, I drop one video file into that watched folder, and it should appear here. There it is. And as I put that container on unlocked time, it should crossfade in 10 seconds maybe. Or maybe I give it a time here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so, and that's the new feature. So we are not, I put some 3 more now, just to show a little bit. So we're not, do not have to use any control software, like, for example, the widget designer, to automate this update of playlists anymore. So that's all inside the Pandoras box application directly now. I think I have to put some timings in here. There we go. All right, any questions for that part? Werner, can you help me?
Yes, there's a question, why was the duration 0? Should it not be the length of the video?
That's a good question. I will figure out later.
What will happen if we remove one of the files from the folder?
That's a very good question. I will do that. So I will delete the first I added. So this should be this one I delete now from the folder, and it should disappear there. What if I so I have to also do these options there. So I have to I have some options here. First option is watch subfolders, so if there are subfolders in there, and the two next ones, they're new, I think. So remove files from project on delete, and remove files from clients on delete. I have to check these first, and then I try again deleting one of those video files, and there you go. It will be removed from the list. Thanks for
One
that
more question. One more.
Yes.
Does the file location of the watch folder have to be on the server or on the local machine?
Well, the spreading workflow has not changed there. So you need to have auto spread for that option to because the playlist and adding things to the project is always a master application thing. So the master application has to do that. And if you have separate clients, you have to spread that. So with the auto spread function, spread that automatically, and the delete function will also delete that from the client system. So this will not overflow your hard drives anymore. So every interaction with the Pandoras box system is always with the master software, not necessarily a manager, but the master software. If you use a manager, of course, this is the master then.
And one last question: can I add audio on this on the playlist?
The audio feature has not changed yet, so the watch folder option is not doing any difference to the handling of audio yet.
That's my questions for now.
Thank you. Let's move on with the next topic. The next topic is the file browser tab. So in this version, we have another new tab which can be used multiple times as the time tab can. I think you all know it already. I can't find it. Time monitor, there it is. So the time monitor is one of the few tabs which you can use multiple times. So if I open it again, time monitor, I now have two time monitors, so I can use them together and have different timings to be displayed there. Now we have the file browser tab, which is also now a tab which can be used multiple times. So how to get it? I open the thumbnail viewer. This is still a single tab, the thumbnail tab. And if I do a right click on this, for example, on this item, I can open the file browser tab. So now I have a file browser tab, and maybe I want to do some work here. So I can do the right click another time and open a second file browser tab. So now I can use this file browser tab to move things around, or to watch things like a new thumbnail browser tab, which is, this is still the old one, right? These tabs also can be are also part of the views. So if I store that view create a view, don't give it a name now, and I go back to default. So that's the default view, changing back to the new view. Also, these file browser tabs are also part of that view here. Right, any questions for that little topic?
Nothing for everybody at the moment.
Okay.
Does the time tab possible display multi-sequence time code?
Multi-sequence time code. No, it's well, yes and no. It shows only one time code, and if you switch the sequence, it will also switch the time code for that.
So no more questions right now.
All right, then we move on. Let me switch back to my little script. There it is. So the media encryption is our next topic, and we have a new algorithm to encrypt media. That's a very special feature for people who want to avoid content to be stolen and to be used somewhere else. So that's how we can address this topic. So there's a media encryption tool in Pandora's box, which now has another algorithm with the version 6.4. Unfortunately, the compatibility to lower versions is not given. So every media file encrypted with lower versions are not compatible anymore with the 6.4 version, and vice versa. Right? Just to let you know about development of this feature, whoever has to use it. And the next topic directly with the HDMI input color space. So the HDMI input card now supports up to, for example, supports different color formats. So that's the point. For example, RGB 444. Oh, there's missing a point. Configurations are in the Inspector tab, and the missing point on that list is the driver version you have to use. So to make use out of that feature, you have to use minimum driver input card driver 601 to have this feature available. So 2 topics. Any questions for one of those? Please.
Nothing.
Okay. Some discontinued products. The old controller board, you can see it here. This unfortunately is not supporting the operating system with 64 bits anymore. So that's why we have to, not the operating system, but any application which uses a 64-bit. It's not able to use this kind of hardware anymore. The steel or the iron ones, or these controllers, they still work. There is a driver available for 64-bit versions. So this is not working anymore. This is working. Also, we discontinued the support of MA Net 1. Whoever used that, this is not part of our application anymore. The MANet 2 is still working. MANet 3 not yet. I'm not sure how we will progress on that and how this format will spread. So we will have a look into that, and we'll see how this develops on that side. There's the point with the input card drivers. Why is it there? I know why it's there. I put it there because you have to, with version 6.4, you have to use minimum input card driver version 601. All former versions will not work with version 6.4. And with this release, there's also a new USB driver available to address all the Christie hardware. And the version 6.14 will be our last 32-bit release. So that's about discontinuing products or devices and drivers and things like that. Any questions for that?
Yes, is the DeltaCast Flex cards should work with the latest driver? Question for Andre.
That's a good question. Unfortunately, I did not prepare very well for that, so I have to pass that question to our normal support. So
Okay,
I have to figure out. I can't answer this question actually. Sorry.
Are there different drivers for the different input cards, SDI, DVI, HDMI?
There are different input cards, of course. We have available SDI. DVI also is still available, I think, and of course we have HDMI with different inputs, input possibilities. So there's a dual HDMI, a single and dual HDMI. There is up to quad SDI, which can also be linked together to have a quad 4K input, so 4 HD inputs to make one 4K canvas if everything comes in sync. For more information, please visit our website to have these information. Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. So what do we have? Yeah, we have some. I also want to have some features or want to present some features out of version 6.13 because they're quite new and really helpful for timeline programming. Switching to Pandoras box back again. So the snapping containers, actually, if I move around that container, you can see now those snapping lines. So it's very comfortable actually to snap this container to the very end of the container in front. This also applies for the back of the container, or it also applies to let's put some queues in here. So queues are also addressable by this. Yeah, a quite helpful feature to make sure to not miss a frame here and there. This was always something like you have to zoom in a lot to see if you have a frame gap or something there, and your screen shortly went black or something. So that feature is helping there very much. What you also can see while moving, there's a little pop-up which shows you the relative movement of that container. So that's maybe an information you find useful there. There's some more features about version 6.13. This you can read about that, all of that in the help file. Yeah, and that's more or less the content for this webinar. I have some few things to say. Yeah, but question and answer. Sorry?
Does the queue also snap in the into the container, into the now pointer?
To the container, it does not.
No, the queue snaps into the now pointer.
It's only yes, to the now pointer it still snaps, not to the container, actually. So and
Thank you.
but if we have more keyframes there, I think now the keyframes were not part of that. Yeah, more questions?
No.
Okay. Yes, well, talking about the help file and things, let me shortly switch to browser. So yeah, more about webinars. I hope you all enjoyed, and thank you for staying with us. Many people there. I'm really surprised about that. Thank you. We will provide more of these webinars with different topics every day from now on. Well, we try to. We'll figure out if everything is working. It's a bit hard for some people at home to make everything working correctly and good. Yeah, but you will find more timings on Facebook, of course, but also on our webpage. If you go for training, service training, there will be the dates, and if you go for schedule, there is on events, you will be informed about those webinar trainings and its contents. So that's where we want to go. Mena, can you please add some links in the chat? Yeah, your ideas are welcome. So wishes about topics and things or feedbacks for the webinar. We created a new theme in our user forum. So if you go for the forum, the address is www.forum.kulux.de. You can log in there if you're not yet. Create an account and log in, and let us know about your thoughts about the webinar, about wishes for upcoming topics. So we'll try to go in that direction, what you really want to do there. Yeah, so feel free to have discussions in our forum. I would be pleased if you put some feedback in there. Our help file for everybody, again, to make you aware of the help file, we are putting much effort in updating the help file every day. So yeah, have a look in the help file. So this presentation was more or less out of the what's new chapter here. So you can read about all these things in the help file, and you find many more. So always, if you want to figure out how a feature works, that's the first address you can go for. And yeah, last but not least, our YouTube channel. So if you want to spend more time with Pandora's Box, you will find the first and second grade tutorials for Pandora's Box there in different parts. So if you want to go in or to start with Pandora's Box, that's your tool to start. We will soon release, hopefully, also the Witch Designer trainings, also on that page, and maybe upcoming or the recordings of the webinars too. I'm not sure about how we do that. That's a possibility. yeah, let us know your thoughts, and thank you for staying with us. Last round for questions before we leave.
The only one I have left over is the demo version updated to 6.4.
Ooh, I haven't checked that.
I think it's not actually,
Yeah,
but I'm not
that's
sure.
a good hint. We will try to figure that out and maybe put an update there. We have to discuss that, but that's a good point. We'll ask the right guy about that.
Thank you from my side as well.
Yeah, thank you, Werner. Thank you, all of you, and stay healthy. And I hope to see you again for the next webinar. Thank you.
Goodbye.